I'm going to skip to something that's fairly important for your Lab 1 webpage, which is how to properly download an image and incorporate that into your webpage. Okay, so I have this Google search here, and I'm going to go to this webpage here for this crashed car here. So I'm going to go to View Image, and that's going to bring me to a page where it shows just the image. If the URL here looks reasonable, so it should be reasonably short and have a file name extension that's some type of image type, so .jpg, .png, those type of things. That should work. The important thing to notice here is what the file name actually is in the for the image. So it's Lambo Hyundai Crash.jpg. But watch what happens when to this file name when I try downloading it. So here I'm going to download it. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to do Save Image As. Again, in Windows or in Linux, the menu options are slightly different. On the Mac, Save Image As. Okay, so I'm going to save it as on the desktop, and notice what it did to the file name already. It already says the file name is simply Lambo Hyundai Crash without the .jpg. So when I save this, but what you want to remember is that in this case, you want to look up here to see what the actual name is, because the actual name is going to be Lambo Hyundai Crash.jpg with the JPG. So I click Save. Okay. So we can put this away for a second. Okay, now in the browser, in the operating system, when we look in the folder, what we find is that the name is Lambo Hyundai Crash. It's actually hiding part of the name for us because we're usually not interested in that part of the name. So what you have to remember is that the actual name for the file includes the part that was hidden that's in the original URL. So in a lot of cases, parts of the file name are hidden. Okay. Now the important thing, one important thing is that you need to save the file. When you save the file, you save it to the same folder as your HTML file, which in my case is the desktop. In your case, it's going to be different according to the lab instructions. So you want to save that to the same folder as your HTML file. And in order to include this picture in our web page now, we're going to put this code in. Okay, so the code I'm going to put here, this is a template, right? Just like the other images, it starts with image source, then image URL with border and so on. We'll make it small. We'll make this like 200, and we'll give it a border of like 5. Okay. Now this image URL, for the image URL, we actually want to put the file name that's in the file in the same folder as your HTML file. So we go back here to the folder. Okay. Right, and then copy that file name. And then we go here and paste it. Okay, so now what we have is source Lambo Hyundai Crash window equals 200. Width is 200. Okay. So what will happen? Okay, remember we copied this file name directly from the folder. Okay, let's save this. And what happens when we reload? Okay, we get this funny little box with a question mark. And why is that? Well, of course. Remember what I said before, this isn't the actual file name. The folder is actually hiding part of the file name for us. We have to actually put in the missing part of the file name. Now when we save that, and then we reload in the browser, boom, there we got it. Okay. Okay, and just for fun, we'll look at one more thing, which is, the fact is we can also make tables that have a lot of stuff in it. So here, for example, we have a large table, and what do we have in this table? In this table we have all the same stuff that we had in the previous part of the web page. And then we also have alongside of it some extra pictures. Okay, so how did I do this? Well, it's fairly simple. Let's go to this part of the web page here. We hid this inside an unordered list, and then let's see if I can find it quickly. I think it's this one. Nope. Okay. So here's our big table, and like everything else, starts with table tag, ends with slash table tag. Open that up. Okay. Okay, so what do we have? There's a very simple table. It only has one row. The first column, again, starts, so it's, let's find that for a second. Okay, so we have table, it has one row, and then we have the first column, it has TD, and I set the background color to gray so that you can see it on the way it's displayed. And then the second column. Okay, so the first column, we open up the first column, there's that ordered list that we looked at before. So the whole previous part of the web page I copied into there. So there's that whole ordered list. And then in the second column we have the other stuff, which is simply, in this case, it happens to be some pictures. So if we look in there, we find a bunch of pictures. So we've got line breaks, captions, pictures, line breaks, captions, pictures, and so on. So in this case, this is how we got a bunch of pictures along the side of the other part of the web page. So now if we look here and see what it is, again, it's a big table. It just has one row, the whole thing, and each row has, that one row has two parts, right? This column and this column. In this column we simply put our ordered list from before, and in this column we just put a bunch of pictures and captions and so on, just like there. So that's most of what you need to know for the web page. And the Lab 1 instructions, of course, this is not a substitute for the Lab 1 instructions. There's other things that, well, it doesn't tell you how to do the Lab 1 for one thing. This simply explains how certain parts work, and the other parts are fairly obvious.